Alright friends, welcome back to the channel, and today I wanted to discuss something that I find to be very important and something that's been very important for me. And while it may seem small, it's one of those things that's very annoying and very frustrating for me to deal with, and that is going to be my anti-bloating protocol. Now I will be discussing this from a few different angles. If you are a natural athlete or if you are someone who is enhanced, I will say if you're natural and you're bloating a lot, you really shouldn't be. If you're enhanced and you're bloating a lot, it makes a bit more sense. But in this video, I kind of wanted to break down some of my tips and some of my tactics for anti-bloating as someone who bloats super easily. Now, what I have found is that there are people, just like with anything, who, like myself, bloat super easily. Again, I take one peptide, one growth hormone secretagogue peptide, I eat a cheat meal, I don't drink enough water one day, I don't drink enough electrolytes one day, and I bloat right up. Now, there's also people who just simply never bloat. So in this video, I wanted to give my full kind of protocol for bloating. Now, if you guys are bloating to a point where you need very powerful diuretics, okay, then you probably need to fix something else or there is something wrong going on. Yes, diuretics are going to help to reduce bloating. No, you should not be relying on diuretics for your bloating, okay? Now, if you need to take a diuretic for something else, I totally understand it. If you're on like a telmisartan, hydrochlorothiazide kind of blend, totally get it. But again, you really shouldn't be using or needing diuretics if you're doing everything in this video. So that being said, guys, let's dive right into my anti-bloating protocol. So, for starters, let's discuss your diet and what diet have I noticed is the best for anti-bloating. Now, for myself personally, and I have seen a little bit of variation, I have seen a diet that, number one, aligns well with your gut. So, I highly recommend getting a GI map test done and checking in on your gut before you do anything, and also getting your blood work done. And if there's anything wrong with these, you need to make sure you are optimizing them and logging them in. Again, if you are getting a GI map done or your blood work done, get them done, sit down with a coach and figure out what's wrong, how to fix it, and then go about correcting those before you kind of start anything, right? And some of those corrections will be lifestyle based, but a lot of times gut-based issues can cause bloating, certain blood work-based issues can cause bloating, and you really want to nail down those issues before you start. But let's get back on track and talk with diet. So for me, in my personal opinion, what I've noticed working with a lot of guys is when it comes to diet, eating a healthy amount of calories. So if you are mega bulking but eating clean food, it is still possible you will bloat. And this is something kind of a reality of bulking. I tell guys is that if you are intensively bulking or if you're even bulking a little bit and you're prone to bloating, you are likely going to bloat a little bit. It's going to come with the territory. Now, if you do eat a diet that is higher in clean foods and foods that are not inflammatory to you, so cutting out things like milk and dairy is great for a lot of people, you will notice your bloating goes way down. I notice that when I eat clean foods, I eat my fruits, my vegetables, I get my fiber in, I'm eating whole foods, and I'm not eating as much, I'm eating in a caloric deficit or I'm eating at maintenance, I've noticed that my bloating goes down significantly. Now, you may need to manipulate the diet for your own personal needs, right? Some people might do better on a more plant-based diet, some people may do better on a more fish-based diet. Some people may do better on a more meat-based diet, but what is important is that you structure your diet to be whole foods based, a lot of whole, high-quality foods, and you cut out foods that are inflammatory for you. Again, everyone's different. Everyone has kind of different needs. So the point is that you address your diet. Stop eating crappy foods. Stop eating out. And again, if you really want to control your bloating, you need to be eating in a deficit. So the other thing that will go with diet, of course, is your hydration. Now, a lot of people, especially if you are prone to bloating, underhydrate themselves. For me, to not be bloated in a day, and this is just my anecdotal as someone who bloats very easily, I need to drink upwards of a gallon of water, which is a lot of water. It's a lot of liquids. But again, as someone who naturally just bloats a lot, this is what I need for my own personal self. You might need a little bit less, but what's important is that you are staying hydrated throughout the day. The other thing is that you are taking a high quality electrolyte and you are consistent in your electrolyte intake throughout the week. Now, my personal favorite is the Gorilla Mode electrolytes. I found that 1 to 2 packs of those per day with a gallon of water always controls my bloating very well. But I have noticed that I need to be consistent in this for at least 3 to 4 days before I really start to see that bloating kind of subside. And if I do mess it up, the bloating comes back pretty fast because, again, naturally, I just bloat a lot. So diet and your hydration are very important. Now, of course, there's other ways to do it other than electrolyte packages. A lot of times people's potassium levels are imbalanced, and that is what is keeping them bloated. So looking into some sort of high quality source of potassium will also be beneficial for you. Now, the second thing when it comes to bloating, and this might sound obvious, but this is something I see way too often, is you need to lose weight, okay? If you are someone and you are very high up on the scale, whether it's muscle mass or whether it's just, body fat, you are going to be bloated and you are going to look bloated, okay? It's going to be a mixture of bloat and fat and whatever it is, but the reality is that you are going to be bloated, okay? So it is very important that if you are someone who is looking to de-bloat, that you also look to lose weight. Now, if you've already lost the weight and you are still bloating, okay, there's other things that you need to look at, like your diet or like your electrolyte balance. But guys, don't be one of those guys where you're 30 pounds overweight, you're a massive dude, and you're like, oh, why am I bloated? It's because you're 30 pounds heavy, right? You are going to look bloated. And who even knows if that's bloating or just facial mass or facial fat or what it is. But if you are a heavier set guy, you are naturally going to look a bit more bloated, okay? Again, it's not like a death sentence of bloating, but that is the reality. So if you want to look less bloated, guys, you need to lose weight. And for some people, you need to lose a decent amount of weight, right? Some people can lose 10 pounds and they lose their bloating and their face looks great. Some people, they really need to dig into the diet and push really hard to lose that bloating. Again, life is unfair. That's just kind of how it goes in this space. So again, number one, your diet and your hydration. Number two is going to be losing weight. Now, the third thing that I really like for my anti-bloating protocol is doing a form of cardio that makes you sweat a lot plus the sauna. Now, I have noticed, this is very interesting and very anecdotal, that when I sweat or when my clients sweat from things like the stairs or from cardio, has a very unique anti-bloating effect that the sauna does not. But I still think the sauna is a great way to pull water off, especially, if you're staying properly hydrated. 15 to 20 minutes of sauna per day is very beneficial for this, along with 30 to 35 minutes of cardio that is going to make you sweat. The key is that you sweat while doing the cardio. I've noticed this all the time. The movement plus the cardio, whenever I sweat or if I get done playing a game of basketball or the stairs, I always look real, like it has a very powerful anti-bloating effect. And I've talked to other coaches before and they've said the same thing, that when it comes to doing certain forms of cardio that make the athlete sweat a lot, it has a very kind of potent anti-bloating effect. So I really like that. I really like cardio plus sauna for the anti-bloating effect. Some sort of cardio, again, that makes you sweat is very beneficial, and you should be doing cardio every day. The sauna is pretty easy. Most gyms now have a sauna, so this really should not be something that is difficult to kind of do. All right, now in the next part of this video, since we've talked about lifestyle modifications, I want to talk about one more, and then we're going to kind of dive into more of the supplement kind of, pharmaceutical realm of things, of what you can do for it, non-diuretic, of course. Now, stress and sleep is another big thing to optimize, right? If your sleep is not optimized and if you are stressed out all the time, your cortisol is going to go up and you are naturally going to bloat more. So it's very important that you keep your stress as under control as possible and that you are getting good sleep. Again, there's diuretic processes that take place while your body is sleeping. And if you're not getting proper sleep, then you are going to, significantly hinder those processes and you're going to kind of mess things up. So again, you want great sleep and you want to keep your stress levels under control. Now, looking at this from a pharmaceutical kind of supplement angle, there is a few things we can, of course, implement for this. The first thing that works, really well, it's over the counter, is dandelion root. I've noticed dandelion root is a pretty, benign kind of anti-bloating agent that works pretty well. Again, though, this is more of a short-term fix that is not going to be super beneficial in the long run, because I tell people all the time, if diuretics are your only fix, or if even a natural diuretic like dandelion root is your only fix, what's the plan? You're going to just, be on it for life? No, you need to fix the root cause, but dandelion root can be very effective. Now, The second kind of class of supplements that you should be looking into, and again, this goes back to when I said the GI map should be done, is some sort of gut-based protocol. Now, if your gut is not optimized and you are getting bloated, you need to optimize your gut, okay? Now, for everyone, it's different, so I'm not going to give a one-size-kind-of-fits-all here, but get the GI map done, work with a coach. If you need a good coach for gut stuff, I can hook you guys up. And then fix and correct your gut health, okay? The gut can be a major cause of bloating, so having a proper gut health supplement-based stack is going to be crucial for helping to keep, the kind of bloating off. Now let's dive into some pharmaceutical agents for bloating. Now, I really only recommend these if you are an enhanced individual. If you're not an enhanced individual, you should not need these, okay? But if you are an enhanced individual, these can be very helpful. The first one is going to be Retta. Now, Retta is the triple GLP agonist, and Retta, I've noticed, has a very profound effect on helping to strip water off of an athlete, right? It seems like the athlete gets drier, the athlete gets harder and denser, especially in the face. A lot of people have noticed when they take Retta, especially their facial bloating goes way down. It decreases inflammation. All that stuff happens with Retta. And again, it's going to also help you lose weight, which is going to be great. And I've noticed too, Retta is great on the blood markers. It's really a great solution and significantly safer than going and pounding diuretics, okay? The second thing that you should be looking into is something like telmisartan, which is an ARB, an angiotensin receptor blocker. This is going to be a major cause of water retention and bloating. Again, this renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system plays a significant role in water retention and bloating. So taking something like a telmisartan or an ARB, telmisartan is an ARB, your ARB of choice, is going to be great if you're an enhanced individual to kind of help keep that bloating off. The third thing that is going to be great is something known as empagliflozin, or an SGLT2 inhibitor. Now, these actually pair with a GLP very well for bloating. Again, only use any of these under a doctor's supervision, but especially if you're someone on growth hormone, I have noticed these have a significant impact on bloating. They have a really great effect, a really great diuretic effect, and they're so kidney protective. They're one of my favorite medications. Now, if you are a bodybuilder, it's going to make you pee out glucagon, right? So it is going to flatten you out a little bit. That's something you should be aware of. Most bodybuilders, though, they have so much size, they have so much mass on them, it doesn't really matter. But that is another one that I really like. Now, if you guys are really keen on using some sort of diuretic, I don't recommend it, but a telmisartan hydrochlorothiazide combo, I know a lot of bodybuilders use that. That can actually be really good for their blood pressure. I've seen that be highly effective for it. I guess if I had to pick one, I would say, you can kind of roll with that as an option. But guys, again, really, you should not be needing any sort of diuretic here. The other tweak you can make that I've noticed too anecdotally is, if you can afford it, swapping your generic growth hormone out for a Geno pen. I've noticed that the Genos are much less bloat inducing. I know people have theories on that there's diuretics built into them and stuff like that, but just again, anecdotally, I've noticed they are much less bloat inducing. The final piece of this video that I wanted to touch on, and by the way, guys, there is a ton more ways to reduce bloating. Some of these ways are more risky and I didn't want to touch on them. Some of them are not as mainstream. But the final thing I wanted to touch on is your hormones. Higher estrogen levels, higher prolactin levels will cause bloating. Getting those under control, especially if you're enhanced, is going to be crucial at helping to keep your bloating under control. So that about sums up the video, guys. Again, if you are a part of 90% of the population who bloats up easily, you do these things, you fix your gut, you get your hormones under control, you get your inflammation under control, you get your blood work under control, and then if you're enhanced, you kind of add in the necessary medications, you lose the weight. I almost can guarantee you that you will see a night and day difference and you will forget all about the whole diuretic craze. So I hope this video helps, guys. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And for any more information on this stuff, or even where to get some of this stuff, head over to my website, link down below. Thank you guys, take care, and have a good one.